This is a BMW 3 Series. It's about as common on UK roads as they come. It's a premium German car for people who want to lead premium German lives. They want comfort, technology, toys, speed, a great drive, but they don't want to spend too much on fuel. And that's why this 320d is probably the one to go for. The 320d will do 0 to 62 in a little over 7 seconds, and its top speed is north of 140 miles an hour. According to BMW, in UK money, it'll do over 65 mpg as well. Essentially, it's the kind of car for the person who wants a whole Black Forest Gatto and to eat it all. The 3 Series is a BMW staple. It used to be the entry to the range, the one estate agents and sales reps dreamed of being in, the car your mother would coo over because it's one of those posh German cars. In 2015, the 3 Series turned 40, a milestone in anyone's book. So here's a potted history. In 1975, the legendary 2002 was replaced with the E21 3 Series. It was faster and better and more driver-focused than the car that preceded it, and it had a cheeky little face. In 1982, though, the E30 appeared. It was a car that the UK's Autocar magazine described as being perfect for yuppies, and it was also the first car to bear that M3 badge. The E36 came along in 1990. It came with fresh, better suspension and a new, very 90s face. I can't say I'm a fan of its look, but there you go. It was followed in 98 by the E46, for me the definitive 3 Series. They've aged remarkably well, and the M3 variant hasn't quite succumbed to the tuners proper. Yet, it was the best-selling 3 Series as well. 3.3 million of them were shifted. In 2005, the E90 appeared, and as well as being better than the car it replaced, as is the norm, there were a couple of big bits of news. The M3 got a V8, and the convertible was no longer a ragtop, it was a folding hardtop, something BMW stuck with for the now 4 Series, because they've gone all name-changey. The even-numbered cars for the lifestyle-y people that like granite work surfaces, the odd-numbered cars for more family stuff. Even though it was more luxurious and dynamically better than the E46, it wasn't much of a looker. I couldn't even like the M3, I just didn't find it that pretty. Anyway, in 2012, BMW brought out the F30 and facelifted it in 2015, the 3 Series' 40th anniversary, and that's the car we're driving right here. And as usual, of course, it's better in every way than its predecessor, especially on the looks front. Before we get to the bit where I make funny faces, let's have a think about how the 3 Series got to where it is today. There was a time in the UK when having a family saloon was a thing people did. They had a Ford or a Vauxhall or even a Rover. They were shaped like 3 boxes stuck together, and the little letters on the back held great meaning to people who sold toilets day to day. Then something funny happened. All of a sudden, cars that were cool, that were okay to own, well, they weren't. BMW, Audi and Mercedes were making cars that they were the same size as the Fords and what have you, but they just had a better image. They gave you more kudos in a service station car park. Their parent companies seen as making cars with utmost luxury and efficiency and reliability, whereas cars made on British soil, well, they were falling short in the eyes of the drivers. Where once having a Vauxhall Carlton with fuel injection was the pinnacle of automotive excellence, if your car wasn't German, you lost a lot of face. Tony Blair's phrase for the everyman worker was Mondeo man. Now he's become M-Sport man. The BMW became the attainable dream car. I mean, how many times have you spent hours thinking up your dream spec for that very special Vauxhall Insignia? So if this thing is supposed to be so special, if it's been at the top or damn near it for so long, what's it like to drive? Well, I'll tell you what, I've spent a couple hundred miles in it, and it's lovely. It's a really nice thing. This isn't the usual fare for us, but it's surprisingly quick. You know, it's got 180 odd horsepower, it'll do 0 to 60 in a little over 7, but it's the in-gear torque because of that 2-litre diesel engine. It's got loads of go. You can sit on the motorway in 6th, and if you see a gap, just gently rest your foot on the throttle in comfort mode and you'll just breeze into the gap. My favourite mode is obviously Sport, because I'm a child. The steering, you get decent feedback from it. You feel engaged, you feel involved with the car, with the drive. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, it is just right. The throttle response, again, it's really sweet. It's not overwhelming. If you blip it a little bit, it won't tear you into the distance. You can rest on it, you can gently manipulate it, and you can feel the car working with you. The rear-wheel drive-ness of the 3 Series, it works. You can feel the setup of this car, you can feel the engineering prowess that's gone into it. 40 years, well more than at this point, of trying, of making this car something that the people can own, they can enjoy, they can have as their attainable dream car. That's what the 3 Series is. The gearbox, again, we've got the manual here. You can get an auto, but it doesn't feel out of place in this car. It really doesn't. It's a nice, smooth, short action. Yes, it's not the cheapest car on the market, not the cheapest car of its size, but when you get into it, you just feel like it's that little bit better. You feel like if you owned it, you've achieved something to get this far, to get this car, to have this as your daily ride, and it will do everything. It will be fun and it will be fast if you need it to be. But it'll also lug, say, a family and all its stuff up and down the country to see Granny. The 3 Series name is still quite emotive, something that C-Class and A4 I don't think have quite reached. It's one of those cars in its class that you say it and you know exactly what kind of car you're talking about, like the Volkswagen Golf or like a Ferrari. You know a Ferrari is a fast car, you know a Golf is a small hatchback, and you know a 3 Series is a sorted, luxury, exec saloony thing. I understand why people like these, and I understand why the 3 Series has been going on for 40 years, and I'll bet you any money it'll be going on for many decades more. I often hear journalists saying the 320d is all the car you'll ever need, and while that's an enormous cliche, it is right. It's little wonder the 3 Series has become quite as popular as it is. After 40 years of excellence, it really is hard to argue with. And think about it like this: if each new series is better than the car it succeeds, then how good is this thing going to be in another 40 years?